I started to realize is I started to see people waking up and they didn't even know what to think until they got on social media to see what everybody else was saying about something. And I don't ever want that. I want to wake up, see a topic, and have my own perspective on it. I think now, man, everybody's just engaging in groupthink. Like literally.
They're joining the groupthink first thing in the morning.
100%. I don't even think that they even be reading half of these stories. They'll see the headline, see what everybody else is saying about said headline, and then they just pile on. And I just realized early on, it's just not good for me as a creative because literally it's just groupthink. Whether you realize you're being influenced by what people are saying on social media or not, you are. I literally did that last week talking about something. I was in the room and I said, yo, did y'all see what happened to X, Y, and Z? And they was like, that ain't even what happened. And I go, well, I ain't even read the story. But that's the truth. So think about how much that happens 95% of the time. And I'm in media. I'm supposed to read the story.
Yeah.
I didn't even read the story. But I just blurted it out like it was a fact. So it's just like, nah.
Like, I knew it, bro. I knew it, bro. I've been saying this forever, but I just needed a little clarification.
Right in the heart was so bullet.
Yeah. I think they plotting on man. Don't fight big feet when they enter the L.A.R. I feel a cold stare.
What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscribe or die trying. You see the thumbnail. More importantly, you saw the clip, man. This whole group think mentality, man, it's not good. And I'm not a person that's trying to just be a contrarian, but even Charlemagne can admit, and that's the point of making this, is even people in media just operate on rumor and gossip. Somebody told you something, hey, if we can make this viral, it got to be true. And people run off like, yeah, it's real. And it's like, no, it's not. And it's so common. And this is not anything new. It's just, it gets to you faster in social media. Because, when it was newspapers, they used to do this type of stuff. They used to say, everybody sees the headlines on the first page, but nobody really sees the retraction, on page 8 or 28 months later, because nobody got that far. And here's the issue. When it's you being lied on, that's when it becomes a problem. That's when it's like, man, how could y'all believe this stuff? And it's easy. I used to talk to my aunt about this because this happened a lot, politics. You look at politics, doesn't matter right, left. They go on this tangent. This is what's going on. This is this. And this is the new narrative we're running. And if you're on the right or if you're on the left, now you got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people saying the exact same thing. And it's dumb. It's utter BS, but hey, I heard it. They said it. I know they couldn't be lying to me. And the worst part about it is you get caught up in this groupthink feed loop, and the pattern you never catch the pattern. You never go, how many times was I lied to? Because you're so busy, after this narrative dives down, they hit you with another one. So you go to this narrative. Narratives are like fashion trends. You got to look at yourself, years later in retrospect and go, oh wow, that was me. I was doing that. I was into that. That looks stupid. But the problem is, even when you catch that, you're probably still on the same thing. And the issue is you're not thinking for yourself anymore. Like there is a lack of critical thinking. There is a lack of actually being specific. There's a lack of actually being knowledgeable about what you're listening to. Like you could know something about a subject and somebody can tell you something on social media and you run with it and you actually have some type of knowledge on this subject, and what they said about that thing that was completely wrong, but hey, I'm gonna just roll with the narrative. It doesn't dawn on you that doesn't make sense. I'm being lied to. Doesn't dawn on you whatsoever. So now, you know, when people are talking and when people are interacting, um, there's a gap of stupidity there. And what I mean by that is they used to make you like debate when you were younger, just to take this position, this other person takes that position, but you're able to argue your position and you're able to argue against the other person's position, and and they have to do the same with you. And what I found out over the years is people are arguing with themselves. They're arguing with like minds, and they're not really getting the other side of the equation. And because they're not getting the other side of the equation, they just think that they're right because they're with a bunch of people who say that I'm right too. You get what I'm saying? So in essence, you're just basically a yes man. And you see it, you see it in the political stuff. You see it in the relationship stuff. When you see somebody repeating something, regurgitating something over and over and over again, and when you're listening to them, it's kind of like they're caught in the matrix. Like they just heard this so much, and and it resonates with them so much they just spit it out. It happens, with religious folks, and we get to a point where if you can't actually step away from something and look at it objectively, from a different vantage point, then you might not know what you're talking about. You get what I'm saying? And this is where things get crazy to me, because people don't realize how much damage is done when they're just rolling with popular opinion. You get what I'm saying? Like y'all don't. It doesn't dawn on you yet. Like, what am I actually doing while I believe this point of view? While I'm riding with this narrative? While I'm 10 toes down for this gossip? What are my actions in society when I'm like this? And most people, in a sense, not just because, most people, just like excuse me, just like they don't count up the times they've been lied to, they don't count up the times that they've been offensive to people and they've been dead wrong. Because it doesn't dawn on them, because hey man, this is the narrative, this is the rhetoric, and I'm repeating it, and it's got to be right, and I'm right, and you go through it, and you go through the motions, and you want people to give you grace, and then you go on another, you follow another narrative, and another, and some more gossip, and another tangent, and you do it again, and then you're saying you're growing and evolving, but you just hopping from narrative to narrative, and you're not really growing. You're the same old sucker with a new with a new with a new script. So now we got issues. And our major issue is you have no self-awareness. And what I mean is you have no self-awareness that you keep getting played, and you keep playing yourself, because whatever the rhetoric is, it resonates with you so much, you're actually willing to throw your own mind and common sense out of the window for this. And you never retrieved your mind when a new narrative came. So now you're just silly putty. Somebody could just mold you and shape you, and you keep going further and further down the rabbit hole of indoctrination. You know, and this is people used to talk about politics, get off the plantation. A lot of us are on the popular opinion plantation. That's what a lot of us are on, the popular opinion plantation, and you're slaves to that. And some of y'all don't realize you're a slave to it because you know you're too invested in things that aren't really invested in you. You're looking for sometimes camaraderie, uh, some type of brotherhood. That's why people look at things like it's a cult, because you have people just needing love and attention and get a pat on the back and an attaboy because if I take this side of this equation, then I'm gonna have people gonna love me and they're gonna gravitate to me and watch how much attention I get. And what you forget is you losing yourself for a narrative or rhetoric or popular opinion. So somebody's always playing you because they're selling you out every chance they get because they know you're not wise enough at the moment to think for yourself. But I'm going to leave it at that. You tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace. You ever been at the top of the universe? I'm going to tell you that.